how I flirted with my Chinese supplier on Alibaba in order to get a better price on my Amazon FBA products. Oh yes, I did, and I'll tell you all about it. Let's go. Hey, welcome to the Art of Negotiation. My name is Karina and welcome to my Amazon FBA channel. If you are new, subscribe down below and click the notification bell and like this video, because trust me, if you show up for my videos, you're going to get a lot of value, such as today when we are going to be discussing the art of negotiation with your Chinese suppliers. And I'm not going to be sharing with you all of the common tactics that we hear left and right. I've discussed those in a lot of details. I have an entire playlist on this YouTube channel just about suppliers. You can check that out. And also, I have attached a free cheat sheet down below that you can download, and it basically talks about all of the things that you can negotiate with your suppliers, not just the price, because there's literally a lot of other things. And when it comes to actual negotiation, there is a lot of things we can do. And if you are a student in my Amazon FBA into Millie course, then you know all about them. You get access to all my templates and literally everything I say. I've probably talked to hundreds upon hundreds of factories by now, because whenever I source a product, I talk to about 15 to 20 different factories. I know that's a lot, but you know what? That's how you get a better deal. That's how you get a long-standing relationship with your supplier, and that's what I recommend. All of the details of how to actually get the best deals are, of course, in my course. That's secret information if you're a student. So what's the goal here? There are many strategies to negotiating with suppliers, and I'll share some sneaky ones that I haven't talked about yet in this video. But of course, let's just get the general down before I literally tell you how I flirted with my Chinese supplier in order to get a better deal, a better price. Yeah, we'll get to that. But let's just discuss the fundamentals, because the whole goal is for you to do this business model low risk, is what I teach, okay? You don't want to be ordering 1,000 MOQ and then say you didn't do your research properly, or something goes wrong with the product, some competitor, something goes on. Anything can happen, okay? Maybe your research was not as you expected. You launch your product, it doesn't sell. Now you're stuck with 1,000 units, right? So I would say the number one priority before actually even trying to go for a lower price is to get a lower MOQ, which is the minimum order quantity, which is essentially the amount of units that you're gonna order. And the benefits of that is your upfront cost is lower. When you start selling, maybe your actual price per item is 20 cents higher or 10 cents higher, something, but at least you're only ordering 300. Now let's do some math. Say your product is $5 to source and ship, okay? Say both of that, right? If you order 1,000, you're gonna have to pay $5,000. If you order 300 MOQ, you're only going to have to pay $1,510. That's a big difference. That is a lot of money to be investing in one product. $5,000. Who wants to order 1,000 MOQ? That's a lot, okay? So our primary goal is to negotiate down for the lower MOQ and then try to renegotiate for the price. And besides, if your product does sell well, that 20 or 30 cents even isn't going to really put a dent in your profits. Long term, of course, that compounds and you really want to add it up so you make more money. But in the short term, it's okay to test out markets with products that are slightly higher if you're getting a lower MOQ, because if that product tanks, you're literally saving like $3,000 plus, right? That's a big chunk, like $3,500, okay? I'll just leave it at that. So let's talk about the fun negotiation strategies, okay? I'm not gonna discuss everything that I talk about in my course or my templates. My templates are quite good. They literally break down everything to begin negotiation and to continue negotiation. And then you can, of course, fill in your kind of language that you use and your preference and your categories just to make it sound less formal. But you have to think about cultures, right? It's all a cultural thing. They like small talk. They like that building of a relationship. So what are some ways, right? Like flirting. How did I do this? Okay, it's actually quite a funny story, okay? You might be thinking, Karina, why are you hitting on your Chinese supplier? And basically, I was on them in WeChat. I have a team that helps me with sourcing products and negotiating, right? And we have a group chat on WeChat. And it's not just me and the person from my team and the supplier, it's also a fourth person, okay? Who is that fourth person? It's actually an alias, okay? And this is a good thing to do as well, is to create an alias account. Say you are negotiating by yourself, or maybe you have a virtual assistant helping you. Have them create an alias account with a different name, with a different picture, and have there be a tier of roles in this process, right? You are obviously the boss, the CEO, so you're at the top of the food chain. Then below you is a purchasing agent or manager. You can call him manager. Let's say the lead manager, right? And then below the manager, you can have an agent. So that's 3 layers. So you get your agent, your purchasing agent, the lower tier, to go in and begin the negotiations. And then when those negotiations, you know, kind of like hit a stalemate, you can get them to refer to the manager. So the manager then comes in, that's obviously still the same person, and then he talks to the suppliers, and he has a higher role and perceived to have more authority. So then the suppliers budge a little bit more. And then of course, when the going gets tough, you bring in yourself, the CEO of the company. And that's the tiers, right? And then you're the American CEO, you have the more power, they're gonna respect you in the factory, especially if you've been talking professionally the whole time. So it's really good to have those tiers. And I really suggest doing that, because that can give you a lot of leverage, because you don't ever want to message your suppliers in the beginning saying, like, hey, I'm the CEO, I'm the president of the company, even though that sounds like, you know, you want to give yourself credibility, but in fact, that means there is no filter of decisions. If they give you a quote, you can't really negotiate down, you don't have as much leverage. But if someone else says, you know, let me go check with the boss, I have to check with the manager, and then I have to check with the CEO, then they can bring the price on the MOQ down. So what actually happened, this is a funny situation. So my agent from China that we were all talking to, she was a lady, right? And then my virtual assistant and his alias are both male accounts, and they're totally different names and different photos. So from the long process of negotiation, and this was kind of an item that wasn't really readily available, it was a lot of customization, there was little suppliers for this. So what he's like, there was just normal conversation, he was being friendly, and then the lady began to flirt with the lower tier alias account. And it was funny. Me and my VA were talking, and yeah, he's like, I think that the supplier is like into my alias. So it was actually, he began to leverage that in order to get a better deal, and it worked, okay? I guess a little bit flirtation and can get you the better price. But anyways, you should really try this strategy. Try creating several different tiers, okay? 7 different tiers of yourself, because if you start with the lower one, you can go up and you can go up, and then when it gets really tough, then you bring the US powerful person. But you really need to keep their cultures in mind too, right? And if you're nice and friendly, and that's kind of the vibe I always portray, there has to be a good balance of professionalism as well as friendliness, because if you're just fully professional, if you cut to the point, like chop, they don't like that as much, right? You need to have more of like friendly conversation building, and that's just how China is. When they first meet, first 15 minutes is just spent talking. And especially like when you talk to them for long periods of time, you really begin to know about them, and you really begin to like know how they talk and everything about them in that way. So that's why I think the conversation got a little friendly, and there was some flirtatious activity going on that was right there on my WeChat, which is what I communicate. That's another thing, is download a WeChat account. This is just, it's how do you say it? It's almost like Facebook, it's almost like Instagram for us, where everyone just has an Instagram, and it's weird if you don't. It's like, what's your Insta? That's the same as WeChat. It's more effective than texting. They all use WeChat for everything. So I have a WeChat account, and when I'm talking to a supplier, seriously, obviously when I'm messaging all the factories in the beginning, when I'm messaging like 15 to 20, I don't want to add them all to my WeChat because then my WeChat is going to be like overfilled. So I'm only keep the important ones on there that I'm actually seriously negotiating with, and then like set that up and then bring the conversation to WeChat. You can have it on your phone, you can have it on your desktop. It's very easy to use, and it makes you feel like it makes things easier for them. And I think it's the better contact there is and the more you adopt their culture too, it really helps with negotiation, because the Western culture and their culture, they're very different. Okay, so you want to get as close as possible. So these are the sneaky ways. I bet you haven't heard them before. Comments down below if you at least have heard one way today that you haven't heard before. Okay, so do that. Second thing, definitely download that sheet that I mentioned in the video. It's completely for free. It's down below. It's all those things you can negotiate. And of course, if you are not in an Amazon FBA program, you should join mine, because we talk about everything there. We have modules covering everything. I just added 4 more extra hours of just bonus modules last week. So that's that. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.